Welcome to Food and Facilities, an online show for West Coast Industrial Solutions magazine. Our goal is to cultivate knowledge to feed the world by focusing our quarterly trade issues on safety, compliance, and innovation within manufacturing, agriculture, food processing, and food and beverage industries. On today's episode, we'll be talking about the Paycheck Protection Program loans, carbon during COVID, and the case for a Makerspace in downtown Fresno. Welcome to Food and Facilities. I'm Tara Sweeney with West Coast Industrial Solutions magazine, and I'll be your host today. Today we'll be discussing the Paycheck Protection Program loans, carbon and COVID, and then a case for Makerspace in downtown Fresno. Make sure to subscribe and check out our latest quarterly for July to September at wcismag.com/subscribe. And if you're interested in joining our other sponsors today, check out our advertising options at wcismag.com/advertise. We asked and you voted. We are going to be changing our name from West Coast Industrial Solutions Magazine to Planting to Processing Magazine because 42.1% of you agreed that that was the name that you thought we should change to. And you can continue to vote at LinkedIn and Facebook at West Coast Industrial Solutions Magazine and Instagram and Twitter at WCISMAG. Here are our new logo options that we need you to give your opinion on. We have A, which is a small green sprout with a swirling stem, B, which is a small green sprout which is straight, and then C, which is a small green sprout with wilted leaves, and D, a gear with an orange and a green leaf, and then E, an orange on a sprout. Here's my first guest, Jeff Markarian of Dedekian, George, Small, and Markarian, to discuss what to do with the SBA Paycheck Protection Loan.
Good morning, Tara. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining.
It's a pleasure to be here this morning. Yeah, so the Paycheck Protection Program has been quite a challenge. Let me give a little bit of background, and then we can discuss how people are using the funds and how they can seek forgiveness of the funds. So the program itself, people have to keep in mind that it was Phase 3 of the CARES Act. So the CARES Act has been how Congress has been getting money out into the help the struggling economy. Phase 3 included the Paycheck Protection Program. It was the largest spending bill in Congress's history, actually over $2 trillion. And they gave the Small Business Administration 10 days to set up this program. So many business owners who have these loans will recall that they were scrambling to get applications from the SBA, which kept changing up until the date, April the 3rd, when the program went live. And people didn't know how the pandemic was going to affect them. It was just starting to hit the economy. And so everybody looked at it, as I got to get this money. I don't know how it will impact me. And some of the unique things about the loan is it's a potentially forgivable loan if you spend money within the parameters of the program. And to get the money out to the businesses so quickly, it became a self-certification program where many times with the loan, you go through extensive underwriting. In this case, as the borrower, you were allowed to actually certify that you met many of the eligibility requirements for the loan. So they started with $349 billion, and the system was overwhelmed when it started. And so they exhausted the funds in 14 days, and the SBA likes to tell the story that the volume was so great, they processed 14 years worth of SBA loans in 14 days. So they put another $310 billion into the program, and many people got their money in the second batch of funding. And even today, there's $659 billion that were put in the program. There's still over $120 billion available. So people still have until August the 8th to apply for the program.
And what does a company need to qualify for the program?
The basic eligibility requirements are that you were in business on February the 15th of 2020 and that you had under 500 employees. And it's actually, you can be whether you're a corporation or a nonprofit organization or a sole proprietor, self-employed, independent contractor, you can qualify for the program. And some businesses over 500 employees, such as some of the franchise restaurants, hotels, under certain circumstances they can apply to, but typically it's businesses with under 500 employees.
And the original loan extension was for 8-week period, and
yeah, so the original intent of the program, and keep in mind at the time that people didn't know how long this pandemic was going to last, but the intent was to have businesses retain their workforce for an 8-week period. And the loan was intended to cover your payroll costs and some of your overhead for this 8-week period. And what happened was, as the pandemic extended, some businesses who received loans got shut down, such as restaurants. And one of the impacts of that was initially you had to spend 75% of your loan proceeds on payroll to be eligible for full forgiveness. But because you had businesses who received loans and were not able to operate after they received the loans, they were having a hard time meeting the wage requirement. So Congress extended that 8-week period to a 24-week period. And so many people who have received their loans now are eligible, are using a 24-week period to spend the money as opposed to the original 8-week period.
And you said those were meant to cover payroll and non-payroll costs, or?
Yeah, so the payroll costs are primarily your typical, your cash payroll, your wages, your tips, your bonuses. It also includes your employee health insurance costs, your employee retirement costs, and also your employer's share of your state payroll taxes as well. And the overhead, the non-payroll costs that are eligible include if you have mortgage interest, so if you have a mortgage on your building, your rent expenses for your building rent, your office rent, or your equipment rent, and also your utilities, which would be your electricity, gas, internet, fuel for vehicles. And so that's become, there's been a lot of questions about some of the non-payroll costs, and even to this day, there's still some guidance that's being requested from the SBA that's been coming out.
And what are some repercussions for not being able to meet the requirements?
So the intent of the loan is for it to be fully forgivable. So if you don't meet the current thresholds now of, you have to meet at least 60% of the money spent on payroll, and 40% can be spent on eligible non-payroll costs. If you meet those thresholds, and I'll explain in a minute the forgiveness process, you can have the loan fully forgiven. If you don't meet those requirements, it can be partially forgiven, and any of your loan that's not forgiven, the way the legislation is now, if your loan was received between June the 5th, it's repayable over 2 years at 1% interest. If you received the loan after June the 5th, it's repayable over 5 years at 1% interest. But people who got their loans before June 5th, the lenders can agree to let them repay that unforgiven portion over a 5-year period, which I expect is what would happen.
Do you have any updates on the application process?
The application process itself is still open. You can apply until August the 8th. And even as we're speaking this morning, Congress is still discussing Phase 4 of the CARES Act. And Phase 4, many people focusing on Phase 4 are watching to see if there's going to be additional $1,200 stimulus checks coming out to individuals, and also the extension of the $600 a week unemployment benefit that people have been receiving from the federal government. But they're also talking about potentially allowing businesses to get a second PPP loan, because this pandemic has lasted so much longer than anticipated. That is included in the second, in the Phase 4 they're discussing right now. So as of today, you can still apply up until August the 8th. And the general application is, and how most of the loans were determined, was based on your average payroll for 2019, your average monthly payroll, times 2.5. And that number essentially, plus your health insurance and benefits, that number gave you your maximum loan amount. That's still the basic formula for determining your loan, but you do still have another week as of now to apply for a loan. And like I said earlier, there's still about $120 billion unspent in the program.
And if one of our viewers businesses wanted to contact you for help with applying or helping plan their finances, how would they get a hold of you?
They can call us 431-5500, visit our website, cpaplus.com, or reach me at Markarian at cpaplus.com. Let me quickly just touch on the forgiveness process. Real quickly, the forgiveness application, when businesses apply for forgiveness, they'll do it through their lender. And the SBA is in the process of setting up an online portal. And the way the process will work is the borrower will submit an application to the lender, who will review it and make a recommendation to the SBA to fully forgive the loan or partially forgive or deny. Right now, that system isn't expected to go up until August the 10th. And so lenders I don't think many lenders are even accepting the documentation from the borrowers yet. But in the meantime, it's very important to accumulate documentation to support your expenses, whether it's payroll records, bank records, verification of your lease agreements, utility expenses. But one of the things that is potentially going to happen, they're discussing right now in the current congressional negotiations, is to forgive all loans under $150,000. And that would just require a one-page self-certification from the borrower, which would, in effect, the borrower would be saying, I was eligible for the loan, here's the amount I received, I spent it in accordance with the requirements. And right now, there's been over 5 million loans that have been dispersed through the program, over $520 billion. And of those loans, as of last week, about 87% of those loans were under $150,000, but it made up about 27% of the total dollars. So most of the dollars that have gone out through the program are in loans under $150,000. So to keep the banking system and the SBA from being overwhelmed with the forgiveness applications, there are discussions to potentially automatically forgive all those loans under $150,000. So it's very important for anybody to watch if they are going to be seeking forgiveness for their loan. But the information's changing daily, so I'm more than happy to come back and update everybody as we get more information.
Well, thank you for joining me today, Jeff. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we close out for today?
No, stay safe and stay healthy.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can reach out to our sponsor, Safe Food Alliance. They have a full suite of food safety services. You can reach them at safefoodalliance.com or visit their location in Kingsburg, California. Another one of our sponsors is Custom Digital Portfolios. They do custom menus. You can also get QR codes on your business cards that will automatically send them to your digital portfolios. Check them out at bit.ly/custom portfolios. One of our sponsors today is DCI Flooring. They have antimicrobial sealants and they are USDA, FDA, OSHA compliant. Make sure to reach out to them for urethanes, drains, polishes, concrete, and stain. You can reach them in Fresno, Sacramento, and Los Angeles. Another one of our sponsors is Fine Print Plus. You want to reach out to them for some social distancing floor decals. They offer them in 11-inch diameter, and they work on smooth floors such as concrete, tile, laminate, hardwood, and low-pile carpet tiles. Reach them at 559-237-4747 or email them your request at graphics@fineprintplus.com or request a quote at fineprintplus.com/quote. My next guest is Janelle Ozeran of Fresno Ideaworks, and we're going to be discussing a case for a makerspace in downtown Fresno. Welcome, Janelle.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. It's a little cooler today. I actually got some gardening done this morning, so that was good.
That's good. So for our viewers that hadn't read the article about makerspaces in downtown Fresno, can you give a little background about Ideaworks?
So makerspaces are community workshops. Every makerspace has a different personality. Some are for-profit, some are non-profit. There are actually 3 non-profit makerspaces in Fresno, and Fresno Ideaworks was sort of the first. We've been downtown on the same block between Broadway and H Streets and San Joaquin and Amador for 8 years. We bought our building at 1730 H Street exactly 2 years ago. And so what happens there is we are a nonprofit, all-volunteer, membership-driven community workshop. And what that means is that for individuals, for their membership, they have access to the whole facility, which includes wood shop, welding shop, machining, ceramic shop, textiles. We're in the process now of getting a forge and foundry going. Finally, there's been a big demand for that. We're getting a silk screening shop up and running, and electronics, including coding and robotics. So we do all of those things, and every member has the opportunity to participate in activity in the space, which includes classes, skill building in each of those areas, and access to all of the tools and machines once they've been through a safety orientation. And the whole point of a makerspace or a hackerspace, like root access in the Tower District, is to give people an opportunity not just to learn some new skills and get their hands dirty and make things, but also to be part of a community of like-minded makers, people who make things and who solve problems. So that's what Ideaworks is. We have a membership right now of about 110 individuals. We've lost about a little more than 15% of our membership because the whole facility was closed for a couple of months. We've reopened now to our members with restrictions. We're limiting the numbers of people in the shop, and the hours are limited, and face masks and distancing and all of that is in place, extra cleaning. But we have lost a few members, some because they're out of work themselves and have, even that $30 or $50 a month membership is too much for them, but we're trying to be supportive of those individuals too. And looking for new opportunities to serve our members, to serve the community, do some public activity online, so that's hard with hands-on stuff, and find new places where we can be part of the greater community. And so we've turned to manufacturing PPE. Some of our volunteer members have stepped in to do that in collaboration with Pie Shop, which is another makerspace next to the Rainbow Ballroom in the Peerless Building, and Root Access in the Tower. And that's been fun, but we don't want to be manufacturers. We want people to get back in there and get creative and do some of their own learning and problem solving. So we're looking forward to it. We're doing okay right now, but we've had to cancel all of our public classes for obvious reasons. We're doing a little bit of programming classes online, but that's it right now. So that's who we are.
And if our viewers wanted to reach out to you and connect to both help you in this current situation and work with you to potentially work on PPE, how would they reach you? Anybody can email me directly. My email address, I don't know if you've got show notes. So my address would be Janelle O, JANELLEO, at FresnoIdeaworks.org, or info@FresnoIdeaworks.org, and that address is on our website, FresnoIdeaworks.org. We have various fundraising efforts out there too, one through GiveButter, which that particular fundraiser, which you so helpfully helped us promote, a portion of those funds also go to another nonprofit makerspace advocacy group called Nation of Makers, which helps with funding and troubleshooting and administrative stuff for makerspaces all over the world. Actually, now it began as an American deal, but they hold an annual conference every year. So that Give Butter campaign we've had some success with, but we'd like a little more attention. The reason that we're looking for extra support right now is because of the loss of revenue through postponed classes. That's a huge chunk of our revenue, and it's the biggest part of our mission, to teach people skills. So that's, and in addition,
one of the things we'd like to get rebooted online. The only youth programs that we offer, a lot of people have this notion that makerspaces are places where children go to do arts and crafts and robotics. And that is true, but not all makerspaces do that. That's not what we do, except we have historically sponsored First Lego League robotics teams, and that's something that we can't do right now unless we get a good corporate sponsor to help us out. And our Coder Dojo. Coder Dojo is an international foundation that we partner with, which is a no-cost program for the families whose school-age children participate. And it's sort of a coding club for kids from 7 to 17 with any level or interest of coding experience to get together and learn to code through hands-on activities. And we need to reboot that as an online activity, partly to help support parents whose kids are not in school and who need a fun pseudo-academic activity to help them keep their brains going. And also because we want to. We've got loyal families who, you know, we miss them and we miss the kids and we want to get back together with them, even if it's just online. But we need sponsorships too to help us purchase some software licensing and things that we can then pass on to the families. So, and I'll be frank, you know, in an ag industry, getting those kids really geared up to problem solving in creative ways and thinking about how robotics and electronics and coding are very relevant to local industry is something that we want to do. We want to, the makers of the future are the people who are going to keep our industry strong, and our local industries, keeping local geniuses in the community doing the work that we need them to do to build our industry. So those kids programs, we do need help with. We are looking for sponsors for those programs. We're looking for sponsorships of any amount, but we're also looking for people who are maybe hobbyists themselves, or who maybe whatever their role in the community is, whatever industry they're involved in, be it agriculture or horticulture or small family farming or not related to ag. What we offer as a community workshop is a place to come and be creative, maybe to prototype something that you use in your business, to improve a tool that you already use in your business, or just to get in there and make things, because there's such valuable therapy in that, especially right now. We have an unusual number of people right now asking for access to the ceramics shop, because the idea of getting in there and beating the crap out of a lump of clay feels really good right now, or pounding nails, or whatever it is that you want to do. Our PPE manufacturing has slowed down a little bit as local hospitals are finding new sources of hospital-grade PPE. Of course, a lot of that is manufactured overseas, so there's still issues with the actual, the pipeline there. The face shields that we manufactured in collaboration with PieShop, Fresno, and Root Access Hackerspace have all been distributed, and requests for those dropped off quite a bit, although as other businesses and smaller healthcare facilities see the advantage of using face shields in conjunction with masks to slow the spread of coronavirus through aerosols and droplets, that demand is going to return. And if schools reopen, certainly. We're still making cloth masks at Fresno Ideaworks. We're still accepting donations of materials, and we're happy to have volunteers too. We just gave about 130 masks to El Centro Binacional to distribute to farm workers locally. They're distributing thousands of masks weekly, and so we will keep producing those as much as we can. We offer those masks to anybody. We ask for a donation. We're not selling them, but donations to help replace, to help cover our costs is really helpful. So that's what we're doing PPE-wise right now. We have a pretty good stock of fabrics right now. We're out of elastic, we're out of thread. I just got a donation, so I was able to purchase more wires for nose pieces for more masks. But we've made and distributed more than 4,000 face shields, and I stopped counting face masks at about 2,000. So that's not huge, but again, we're an all-volunteer operation, so it's just kind of goes in cycles as people get psyched up to start making more. But I do have a good little core of sewing volunteers who will keep plugging away as long as we keep getting requests. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now for PPE. And if we learn about other needs, we'll see what we can do.
Well, thank you to the Ideaworks community for serving its community. Is there any way that you think that manufacturers could get involved and maybe sponsor their employees? I know right now it's very packed for work for manufacturers because they are an essential industry. Do you think that they could potentially work with you to sponsor their employees to offer them a career-based but also creative outlet?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, we have a couple of members who originally came to Ideaworks because their employers needed something specific built in the wood shop in those cases, and didn't have their own wood shops. So they came to Ideaworks, they built their specialty cabinets or whatever it was they were doing. One guy's from a local video production company, and that's exactly what they needed, was some cabinetry to fit in a very specific spot in the studio with specialized compartments. And he had such a good time and became so friendly with a lot of our community, which is the whole point, and got the help he needed in addition to access to the tools, that he bought his own membership after those projects were finished. And he's become a very active member. He's also a welder and is creating an art piece now that will be installed in our lobby, which is so cool because that's a gift from him in addition. But yes, we don't specifically have a business or professional level membership. We do everything we can to keep our memberships very low so that any individual can afford them, which of course that's not true. Everybody can't afford everything they want, but currently our individual membership is $50 a month. There is a discounted membership for veterans and seniors and people who live outside of Fresno or Madera counties. But that $50 a month is generally very affordable for a business who needs an employee to come in to do some skill building or to work on a specific project, or for a small business person who doesn't have some of the tools they need. They can't run their business out of our shop or use our address, but they can certainly come in and use the facility to do some small manufacturing, or to learn something they need to improve their product or build their cabinet or whatever it is. Yeah. So yes, there are no restrictions on membership, and certainly if there were a demand for a professional membership or business membership, that's something that our teams could get together and explore. Yeah. And we're always happy to have more experts in there, because one of the things we say, and I know I've said this to you because I say it all the time, we like to say that none of us are experts in the makerspace, but we're all experts. We all have something to share with somebody else, and it's that exchange of knowledge that makes the makerspace such a valuable place and such a fun place. Yeah, it's I love it. I love Ideaworks so much I can't even begin to tell you. It can be very frustrating because since we're all volunteers, we just can't do all the things we want to do, and we don't always have the right volunteer in the right place to do something as smoothly as we'd like to, maybe. But it's a community of huge hearts and amazing creativity and generosity like I've never seen with any other organization I've ever been part of. So I would welcome anyone to come check it out. One thing we can do right now still is give individual tours. We can't give group tours, obviously, but we're happy to have someone from a company or another organization drop in, look around, ask questions. And we can be very accommodating about that for sure.
Well, thank you for joining me today, Janelle. And if our viewers want to check out more, they can always look at the article that we posted on all of our social media channels and on our website about a case for Makerspace in downtown Fresno, and check out their Give Butter so that we can keep Fresno Ideaworks providing services to our community.
Yay! And we've got a Facebook page too. Check
Yes.
us out.
Thank you, Janelle.
Thank you, Tara.
Our sponsor is Industrial Equipment Repair with Darren Gibbs Industrial Services. Reach them at 559-351-3280 or contact at darrengibbs.com. They provide repair to welders, air tools, cold saw, blade sharpening, overhead lifting equipment, torches and regulators, plasma cutters, hydraulic cylinders, repaired and manufactured. Make sure to check out their website for their equipment for sale at www.valley.equipment. And I will be giving a moment of silence for our Black Lives community.